Hi boys and girls, this is Miss Laura. I hope you're doing well today. Let's get to the problems that we worked on yesterday and check our work. Maybe you are missing one or two problems, you want to check your work, you want to see what you need to work on, maybe you forgot a certain strategy, so this is the perfect time for that. So some of the problems are already done, and I just want to show you my work and work some with you. So let's look at the first part of this problem. This problem is about having a glass pitcher and it's filled with water. 1/8 of the water is poured equally into two glasses. So here's my model to just show my thinking. I drew a tape diagram to show the eighths, and then I divided that into two to represent the two glasses, and my answer was 1/6 of the water. 1/6 of the water is in each glass. Okay, moving on. So if each has 3 fluid ounces of the water in it, how many fluid ounces of water were in the full pitcher? So I underlined the 3 fluid ounces of the water and also the total amount of the pitcher. So I had to go back to the previous problem. I knew there was 16, so I had to multiply 3 fluid ounces times 16, which gave me 48 ounces. The full pitcher had 48 ounces. Okay, so now here's the next problem, and this one was the most difficult out of the 3. Okay, if 1/4 of the remaining water is poured out of the pitcher to water a plant, how many cups of water are left in the pitcher? So the first thing you had to do, boys and girls, make sure that you drew your 8 parts to represent the pitcher. Then I highlighted this here just to let me know, oh wait, I can't count this as the remaining water because this was already used. And I said, all right, so in this used, we used 2/16, right? 2/16 equals 1/8. So I knew that in each 1/16 there was 3 ounces. So I said 3 plus 3 because there's 2/16 is going to give me a 6. So I was able to label each part of my tape diagram as 6 ounces. Okay. Next, I knew here 48 ounces. This was the remaining. So I knew there was 6 plus 42 is going to give me my 48 ounces. So there's 6 ounces that were used, 42 remaining. So then I now look at this remaining part here, and I said if 1/4 of the remaining, so what is 1/4 of the remaining, which was 48? And I put it over 8 because there are 8 ounces in 1 cup. Do you see this? So I know there's 1 cup. 1 cup has 8 ounces, and then I divided how many ounces are in. I needed to find out how many cups were equal to 48. So I divided 48 by 8, it gave me 6. So I know that from this point to here, there are 6 cups, okay? So now, I need to put 48 over 8, because this is showing me how many cups there are in the ounces. So 1/4 times 42 over 8 is going to give me 42 over 32. That was the part that was used. Okay, so I already know that this is the part that they used. So if I already know what was used and the total amount of, this is the remaining, which will give me, I'm going to write 42 over 8, right? Because this is what was remaining, and this was what was used. This is the 1/4. I have to subtract. But now I notice, that my denominators are not the same, and I need to make equivalent fractions. So I'm just going to multiply this fraction by 4/4, right? So that I can have equivalent fractions. So I'm going to rewrite it here. This becomes 4 times 42 is going to give me 168 over 4 times 8 is going to give me 32 minus 42 over 32. Okay, that's the same thing. Now I can subtract, right? Because I have the same denominators. So when I subtract 168 and 42, I get 126 over 32. Okay, and quickly I notice that this fraction is greater than 1. Okay, we had to divide, and then I got 32 goes into 126 3 times, with that becomes a remainder of 3. That's 94, so it's 3. And my denominator, 30, sorry. A remainder of 30 over 32. I quickly noticed that both 30 and 32 are multiples of 2. So I can divide both numerator and denominator by 2, which will give me, and I rewrite it here, 3 and 15/16. Okay, so now 3 15/16 cups are left in the picture. I wrote picture. Okay, so this, like I said, this one was the most trickiest. It had a lot of steps. You had to convert ounces to cups. You had to look at what was used, what was remaining. From that remaining, you had to look at what was 1/4 of that total in order to subtract from the whole that was remaining to get your answer. Okay, we had to rename fractions. We had to look for common denominators. There was a lot of steps in this problem, boys and girls. So if you didn't get a chance to do it, just pause it for a minute and make sure that you have this work. Okay, let's continue. What situation could the expression 1/4 divided by 3 represent? So this is just like elimination when we were eliminating multiple choice questions when we were getting ready for the state test. You have to kind of go through all of them, all right? So let's start with A. 1/4 of the packet of pencils shared equally among 3 friends. That sounds about right. This equation could definitely be supported by this multiple choice. So I just kind of put a little star for now to let me know that this is a possible answer. The number of 1/4 cup serving in 3 cups of popcorn. The number of 1/4 cup servings. Nope. I don't know. 1/4. This is not it because it's kind of saying there's 3 cups and 1/4 of that. 1/4 of the stadium split into 4 equal parts. I know that's definitely not it, because in this problem there is no 4, so that's just wrong. And a 4-foot long rope cut into 1/3. No, because again, we're looking at this fraction of 1/4 and not 1/3. Okay, so now I go back to this number A. So I'm thinking 1/4 of a packet. So I'm thinking of just 1/4 of this packet, and then shared by 3 friends, right? Because this is all that's left, and they're sharing it together. So, yep. If you got A, you're right. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go to the next problem here. Mrs. Silver bought 3 mini cakes for a birthday. She cuts each cake into quarters and plans to serve each guest 1/4 of the cake. How many guests can she serve with all her cakes? Okay, so now again, let me draw this model. So here's 1 mini cake. Okay, and I'm just gonna put MC. And then here's the second mini cake, and the third mini cake. Okay, so now, so I did this part. She cuts each cake into quarters and plans to serve 1/4 of cake per guest. Okay, and then I need to find out how many guests does she. This is the question I need to answer. How many guests can she serve? So here's my first cake. Let me use another pen. And this is in quarters, so I know the quarters are 4, because it takes 4 quarters to make a whole, right? A whole dollar. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see how I make my partitions and I count them, because I just want to make sure that I have the parts that equal or that are represented in this problem, right? So now, here are my 3 mini cakes. I cut them in quarters, in 4s. Now I need to find out how many guests can she serve with all her cakes. So here's 1 piece, 2 piece, 3, 4. So I know if this is 4 and I double it, it's gonna give me 8. If I double it again, well, not double, but I add another 4, that's gonna be 12. So she can serve how many? She can serve 12 guests with all her cakes. Okay? If you got that one right, check it off. All right. Now, we gave you 2 of these problems. Hopefully you got these right. Let's check them, okay? So 1/6 divided by 5. So the first thing I do is I rewrite this 1/6 divided by 5/1. I like to see my fractions, right? I make this 5, this whole 5, a fraction by adding a fraction bar and a 1. 1/6. Now I change my operation to multiplication, and I flip my second fraction, and I got 1/30. Okay? Make sure you got this right. And then the second fraction here is 7/1. Again, this is a whole number. In order for you to make this a whole number, you just add a fraction bar. and add a 1 as your denominator. Divide it by 1/4. So I know right away that I have to change my operation from division to multiplication. I flip this second fraction, and now I multiply across. 7 times 4 is 28 over 1 times 1 is 1. This numerator is greater, so that means I have to say how many times does 1 go into 28. It goes in 28 times, and that's my final answer. Alright, boys and girls, this is it for today. Tomorrow we'll have another lesson. You should be logging into iReady and finishing some lessons. Have a good day, and see you